Welcome to the We Got You Mama show. I'm so excited. I have my friend Julie here with me today. And I always say my friend because most of these people I bring on my show, like I've gotten to know in real life, and they are usually like my friends, which is just really special that I get to be surrounded by such amazing people. So I'm going to introduce Julie K Coaching. She's the founder and CEO of Julie K Coaching and has spent over 30 years developing techniques and tools that connect with her soul's path to pursue a heart-centered approach to coaching entrepreneurs through a prosperous business journey. Her clients come to her for clarity, more energy. Can I get an amen? More energy. And a good sense of joy in their business and their life. I think it's really important, right, to have not only joy in like what we're doing in life, but like in your business has to bring you joy too. So after a long career as a leader in the direct sales industry, in 2021, Julie took a leap of faith and gave up her team and her free pink car, which I've heard stories about, and she retired from that business. And she developed her Joyful CEO Life community. And she teaches the principles that she uses to step into a life and business you can truly love with ease and with, more importantly, joy. She's the proud executive managing director of the Calabasas, California chapter of eWomen Network, which is where I first met Julie. And she's a global entrepreneur and eWomen Network. And I think we've had some guests that I've met part of. I've met in that realm. For those of you who don't know, it's a global entrepreneur organization. And so Julie leads and empowers women, and she's gathered hundreds and hundreds of women and was awarded many times over their managing director of the year. And even this last 2024-25 year. So she's also, I love this. And this, I haven't heard this before, a Glammy, not a Grammy, not a grandma, not a mama, but I love that so much. Julie's a baby to 4 adorable grandchildren and mom to her daughter, Nikki, 33, and son, Zach, 31. And when she's not connecting and collaborating and putting on these, big eWomen Network events and luncheons and all the things, you'll find her at the Pilates studio, taking daily walks and spending time with her friends and family. I love that.
Wow, that was a lot.
Yeah. You can use that clip for all your things.
I will.
Type person.
Yeah,
it's good for us to hear our bios and to hear about us coming from someone else, because we're always talking about what we do and who we are and blah, blah, blah. And sometimes it's really nice to just hear someone be like, "This woman is so great. Here's all the things she does."
You're like,
so let's just launch right in, right?
Sure.
I've had some episodes lately, and I think this is just what women need to hear right now around entrepreneurship, around the mompreneur. I never ever say that right. I think it's mompreneur. What is it like going from corporate employee, right, to stay at home, running direct sales business with small children running around? That seems like no thanks, but also maybe opened up a lot of cool things and freedom and relationships, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Interesting. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm honored. I love this. And I love what you're doing. So needed. And I love that I'm reading your book before it's being launched, because I'm like, wow, I needed this. Where was this when I was a mom? Well, I'm still a mom, but it's a little different now. But yeah, when I said no to working from home, having my own business for 5 years, because I didn't know what I was saying no to, so, looking back, I'm like, wow, that was a long time ago. That was, let's see, my son's going to be 31 this month. So it was 31 years ago that I embarked on the entrepreneurship, and, didn't even really know what that was. No one was talking about it like they do now. No, I never, the solopreneur, I think, was not even a word. Let alone entrepreneur. You hardly heard that, right? And so, all my friends they worked for a company. I didn't know anybody who was working for themselves. But when I started after corporate and I decided to be a stay-at-home mom, I did that until my second son was born. And then I felt like I had mommy mush brain. It's like, this is great. But, my husband would come home at the time and he would go like, "Oh, did you even take a shower today?" I'm like, yes. And I did my hair and I did my makeup. They sucked the life out of me,
Get out of here.
Yeah. I'd be like, what? what do you mean? And I walk by the mirror and go, I had makeup on. I did. And I just felt like there was something tugging at me. There was something more that I was to do, even though I wanted to be there for my children. And looking back, I'm so thankful I did. Although sometimes I'll say to them, I should have put you in daycare. Maybe you would have been better well behaved, But they never went to daycare. They did go to preschool when they got old enough. And, looking back, it was like, I didn't know what I was saying no to for all those years, but I just feel like everything happens in perfect timing anyways,
Yeah. And I'm sure, I've heard numerous stories from you. I'm sure along that journey, you were also able to empower many other women, right? To start their own business under you, and how much freedom that allows, right? And connection of like you guys all doing the same thing with little kids. That's really, really special too, right? So you use a lot of tools. I know you're like a tools and systems person. Like Julie is very organized, and whatever she's like, I don't want to have this on my plate, she moves it to her assistant's plate, people working for her and around her, which I think has been a big example for me in my life, not only raising a family but in business. So what are some of those tools that you've really taught others, whether like in former businesses, in your current coaching career, to stay calm and balanced through? I don't actually like the word balance, to stay
in harmony. I call it harmony.
Less challenging, right?
Yes.
Juggling, running a family and running a business. It's like two different types of babies. Can feel like
it's a lot. Yeah. You can't discount that it's a lot. I mean, nobody really should say, some people make it look easier than it is. And some people have more help too. And I think so many women, I think you wrote this in your first couple of chapters that I've read in your book, was that it's almost like we're wearing a badge of honor doing it all. Like, I can do this. I can push through. I can, the struggle is my badge of honor, so I'm a good mom because I'm tough and I can do it all.
I'm doing all the things, but
until you're the only person that is not being taken care of, and everything else suffers for it, And I think like through my business in direct sales, I was with Mary Kay, the best leadership training I could ever have learned. And I had great leadership training in corporate. I was very blessed to have work with amazing mentors and my colleagues in corporate America. And so I really got a taste for like sales and leadership and all that there. And then when I started my own business, the training that I got and the tools that I got were amazing. And I went to every, they didn't have webinars. I don't even know what they called them back then. Conferences, freeconferencecall.com or whatever we started. I'm really dating myself, but I am having a big birthday in a couple of months. So I'm okay with that. So some of the tools that I learned early on were just ways to delegate when the money wasn't there yet. When you're starting a business and you don't have income because you're living on one income, it's really hard to say like, hey, I'm going to invest money into the unknown.
Right.
I was lucky that we did have money and investments and things like that. So when I did start my business, I did start with a small investment, not big, but like less than $2,000 to buy my products and inventory, because I felt, gee, you know what? I want to do this smart. And this is what they're telling me I could do without having to spin my wheels and have to have multiple steps where I can just give the women their products right there when they wanted them, instead of ordering them to the second step, go make a delivery. I'm thinking, how can I do this with 2 small children in tow, And so I developed tools that helped streamline those things. And also when the kids were old enough, there was a lot of bribery to the dollar store, mommy's having a party in this room here, daddy's working, put them in front of the TV. If you sit there for an hour, when mommy makes money, we'll count the money and then you'll get a dollar or two from here and we'll go to the dollar store tomorrow. That
Yeah.
worked really well. That was a tool.
Now that's how
I
they
invented that tool.
participated
Yeah.
in your business, right?
Yeah, the tool, bribery tool. Yeah. And then as they got older, they would like stamp my brochures and they would come on deliveries with me and they would always like a bribing again with the French fries when we're done, so you have to find what works for kids. And as they got older, of course, things changed, but I ended up hiring a college student to come watch my children while I was in the home. And then she would, when they would sleep and stuff, she would actually help me in my office, like do little administration work. So
that's great. You're paying them by the hour anyway.
Yeah, right. There's all ways that you can do it when instead of thinking of ways of, well, I got to do this all myself and I can't do anything until I make money. It's that whole thing I teach you, like the be, do, have. You have to be that person, that executive who's running her business before you actually see yourself in the role. Most people say, when I have the money, then I'll hire the help. No, you got to find, creative ways to get the help right from the beginning. And those people that do that are the ones that end up being more successful and less stressed for sure.
And they're able to actually, I think, find the joy in starting a business and running it, right? Because they're not entirely overwhelmed.
For sure.
There were, and I don't know how much you're comfortable with sharing. I mean, there were big life changes when they were little and when your kids were a little older, but some things happened when they were all small. So tell us what are some of those things and those stories. And we love to share stories on this, on this show. It just helps women relate. And then what are some lessons, that we can pull? And I'm sure I'll have other, questions that we can pull from.
Well, one of the very first, I look back and when sometimes you forget because you want to forget, and you're kind of like, sweep this under the rug. I don't need to talk about that anymore. But sometimes you bring it up because it's going to help somebody else. And if you've done the work to heal yourself over some of the trauma and all that, and I'm not talking any woo-woo stuff. I'm just talking, therapy, surrounding yourself with great people, community, people that lift you up, learning to not just be positive, but choose joy over the worst thing scenario. You could find joy in everything, which I had to learn the hard way, honestly. But we moved when I was a brand new sales director, just like a year into being a director. And my husband at the time said, we have an opportunity to move to California. We lived in New York. And so I had said no to multiple relocations because I didn't want to leave my friends and my family. I just started a business and there was nothing online then. Everything was in person. So I would have to start all over again. Right. But there was like a prayer of Jabez was going around the Mary Kay world. And we had it like taped up on our desk and we were saying it. And it was to asking God to enlarge our territory, and I'm thinking, maybe, an hour away or 2 hours away or, that's how large I was thinking. But God said, well, how about California? I'm like, oh yeah, 3,000 miles away. No problem. And I'm like, we got to go. Yeah, let's go. And he's like, what? You said yes. And I go, well, gosh, I could vacation. I could live where I would love to vacation, know? Yeah. And so we embarked on that journey and it was scary. That was a big, huge life change. And we came out here and fell in love with it. Like got a house in a weekend and we're like, oh my gosh, like we can live here. But it was supposed to be a 2 to 3 year assignment. So I thought I can do anything for a short period of time. Sure. Right. And so within that year and a half, that's when we earned our Cadillac. I didn't recently turn in my pink Cadillac. I had a pink Cadillac for 2 years. I had different levels of cars depending where my team was and what we were doing. So that was my first pink Cadillac when I came to California, which was very exciting because nobody really knew about Mary Kay here. And I was in that too dumb to doubt. So I was just talking to people about it and they're like, oh, yeah, is that good? It's not expensive. And I'm like, well, if you want to pay more, you can. But, I was like, had no clue. It was sticker shock, culture shock, everything when I moved to California, if you can imagine. I wasn't living in New York City. I was living in Buffalo, New York. So we have a whole different world there. Right. So that was a huge life change. Yeah. My kids were 6 and 8 at the time. And so I just got involved. I joined the chamber. I joined, PTA, or what was it called? Something else here.
Yeah,
PTA.
it's some sort of P.
Some,
It's like
yeah,
PA,
it was called something
PA.
else. I was like, yeah, parents something. And I did all the BNIs and I did networking and all that. And I just met a lot of people and built a really strong community. And so fast forward a few years, the next life change was that I went through a divorce. So that was another shock to my system. I won't go into the juicy details right now. It's for like another podcast for something else. But that was another big hit, like a big trauma in our lives. And I have, young teenagers. And so I had to navigate through that, being a single mom again, and not again, being a single mom, running a direct sales business where you're actually in the business of lifting up other women, and to the point where you can't even lift yourself up. Like, how can I do this?
Right.
And so it took a lot for me to really dig myself out of that hole, and managed, to do that with a lot of support, and really dug into personal development. That's what I really fell in love with it. And, affirmations and all that were a big thing, but now I've really learned to tap into, it's not just saying it, right? It's like being in the feeling of, this too shall pass. It's okay. You're going to get through this.
Yeah.
Even though it doesn't look like there's a light at the end of the tunnel, there most always certainly is, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's such an important mindset to have. And also, like, surrounding yourself, and we talk about it often in this realm on the show, in my book, about, building your village of support, because when you can't see that light, other people can. They're like, no, it's there. It's there. I know you can't see it, but I can see it, and we got you. To have someone, have your back. A lot of people maybe don't know what that really feels like in the midst of trial, because they didn't really expect to go through a certain trial or expect to go through a divorce. And so they didn't really set themselves up for a village of support, maybe while they're raising their kids or building their business. And so they find themselves very lost. And like you said, like digging yourself out of this hole where there is no light. And I think from the get-go, and even like teaching our kids, like building your village and rebuilding it, because it can change and shift.
Yes, it does.
Move across the country. You're like, cool. Now I'm away from all my family and everyone I knew, and my business people, and all my clients. But really almost using that business mindset of like, I'm going to build my people, right? Like, I'm going to build my clientele, using that sort of systems mindset and that's okay. And a heartfelt way and a joyful way to lead yourself through that, so that you're constantly building and opening yourself up for receiving. I think we're so great about, you want to help other people and support other people. And then you're like, oh, but I'm good. I'm fine. Everything's fine. I don't need
I'm fine.
And I had to like recently force a friend to like ask for help, because she was drowning in new motherhood, 3 other little boys and a new baby. And I was like,
oh my gosh.
there are so many people you have helped. And she has expressed like, I love helping people. I love serving people. You also get to let people serve you, especially in time of need, and they want to. And you're actually doing them a disservice by not, gaining the blessings of what we get serving people. And so I opened the door for that. And then now people are coming weekly, of giving her some reprieve. But we should all be doing that, so that it gives other people permission, right?
I remember my girlfriend telling me too, it's like, when you say no thank you, I'm fine, you're robbing that person of them feeling good, because people want to help, right? So you have to think about that too. So
we all need to help each other.
Yes, we do.
Each other. And you never know what that could lead to, right? When you help and connect with someone, and then they connect with someone else, and obviously the ripple effect, the trickle down effect it can honestly, and I've seen it, not only change lives, but save lives. You don't really often think of it on a grander scale like that, but it is so true. So fast forward to today. for
Yes,
yourself a big birthday soon.
I
What are
know.
you doing now that your children are adults? Like a lot of us in this early stage, we're like, I can't even I can't even think to that far ahead. But I think it's kind of fun to think ahead. What are you doing now? And what did you do through all the things to, prepare them for adult life? And what kind of people
Mm.
turned into because they saw their mom work, or they saw their mom be at home while working, or they saw their mom, do hard things, right? Like go through divorce and beyond. I know those trials hit hard and fast, within that and that shift. But what's it like now? And I mean, what would you say to the mom that's, is thinking fast forward 20 years?
It goes by so fast, and you've heard that, right?
Yeah. It's really, really, really
Yeah.
long minutes and really short years. But it's like your kids are adults. You have time. You get to be the glammy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure
Yeah.
there's still trials and struggles and stresses and all the things, but what's
Yeah.
that look
You
like
got
for you?
adult children with adult problems.
Right. Yeah. You're still
It's
always
true.
the mom, and I don't
Yes.
think the worry or concern or
Yes.
the amount
Yes.
of
Yes.
love, that doesn't ever go away. You're
Yeah.
your mom for
No.
life, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. So it's funny because both of my children, my son now is working for somebody, but he had his own business and my daughter had her own business. So
Okay, yeah.
they all never really went to the traditional job, going to an office job type thing. Probably because they saw me, even though their dad did work, corporate America all those years, but they've never saw me go to a job. And I still think they don't think I work. They would be like, oh, they'd come in the door. I'm like, I'm working. Have you seen some of those funny things on Instagram where the guy's working from home and he's like, I had this little sign that I would hold up and it would be like, hold please. I came up with that every time I was on the phone with somebody, they'd come in and I would hold, and we didn't have video. I would hold the sign up, and shh, be quiet. I'm on the phone. All that didn't work. So I came up with this thing. It was like, hold please. And they're they would be like, oh, and they'd back out for some reason. So
come back later.
So my team members, they would do it too with their kids. And, so I think they do see you. And they also think it might be easy to do what you're doing. So they think, oh, I'm going to work for myself. And it's not always easy, right?
No.
They only see the highlight reel, kind of.
Sure.
I mean, they see the behind the scenes, but they don't really see your struggles because you're trying not to show them those struggles as much, But it's kind of a relief. But then you go through ebbs and flows of different, I don't want to get into the personal stuff, but there's always, just because they're adults doesn't mean that they're not looking to you for support or answers or anything like that. So but there's a different vibe, and I guess you don't really ever feel the exact switch, you know what I mean? That's like a gradual. So it's not like one day, people go, oh, all my kids empty nest. What am I going to do? I do talk to a lot of women in my coaching. I was just speaking to somebody yesterday about having a little one, but you're still driven, when you have those little ones at home. But yet we're put on this earth to create, I believe, and we are creative beings. And that's why we're always wanting more, and not in a way of there are selfishness things in there that we want things right. But we're always wanting to create. And so there's a pull between, oh, I really have this dream and I want to do this, but this little one's tugging on me, or I have responsibilities to drive somebody somewhere, or all that, and then it gets to the point where it's like, oh my gosh, they're driving themselves, but then you're worrying about them on the road, So there's all different ebbs and flows and different versions of you through motherhood, but I always, I told my one friend yesterday, we were doing a call, and because she's developing something new, and it's just I'm either all in, it's I always felt like when you're with your kids, be with your kids. And when you're with your work, be with your work if you can. It's hard to do it with them unless they're busy doing something and you have to set a timer for 15 minutes. I'm going to make 5 calls and then we're going to do this. And you just have to really kind of time block that, and then give yourself that grace and go, you know what? They're not always going to want to be next to me. clinging to me like this. And there's so many women now that wish they had that again.
Yeah.
When you're going through it, you're like, I don't want this anymore.
Yeah, I'm overtouched. And then they move away. You're like,
oh my God, come hug me. We are interesting human beings, aren't we?
Yeah. No, I mean, I hear that, because having 3 littles, and then even looking back now to where, they're not clinging to you as much, but they're still very heavily rely on you emotionally. Even my 9-year-old the other day, it kind of surprised me. She likes to hug me for like a really long time at night. And so I'm like, is this because you're loving on me, or you just don't want to go to bed yet? Right.
Yeah.
She's the bedtime procrastinator. And she was like, I just feel so safe hugging you. And I don't feel like that way with anybody else that I hug. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. That's
so
beautiful.
That's so amazing. I'm like, yeah, you can stay here as long as you want, right? Because my older two, like hug, pat, high five, whatever, they're teenagers. And you gotta just really relish in those moments, because
that's wonderful. For
I
sure.
didn't expect that of her. But also I imagine your kids, no matter if they're using that language or not, of like, Mom, I feel so safe when I'm hugging you. I think you build that relationship with them. They'll always feel that, right? Like when I'm with you, when I'm talking to you, I feel so safe. They come to you, your adult children come to you, because you've built a relationship of safety and trust, right? And I think that's really special. Like in those clingy moments, in the, chaos, you are still building that, that base of that trust, and sometimes the emotional offloading, which I'm sure you still get from your children. I can do that with my mom sometimes, right?
Yes.
But it's important to also have our outlets within, the village that we build, and within our friends. You're saying you have calls with clients, and you also have calls with friends, right? To where you can bounce off of, and you can vent. I think it's important to vent and not feel bad about venting. I think some people are like, well, there's so much, horror going on in the world. Who am I to complain? I'm like, it's not a matter of complaining. Everyone has their stuff, and they have to get it out. And you get to work through it. And so that when we are functioning in the world, that we are able to be a little more grounded to support each other, right? If everyone's got their stuff out and healed a little bit, right? And with each other. We don't have to be these huge advocates for change and this and that. But if we work on ourselves, and that's a healthy example of feeling, connected and grounded, and that's bleeding into our kids and our community, like that's a game changer if you think about it. So I feel like when we're feeling overwhelmed, and whether it's with adult kids that, you're trying to kick out of the house because they moved back home, or, you have little kids clinging to you, you're allowed to just focus inward and focus on you, and that will benefit so many people, right?
Exactly. For
sure. That your kids grow up and go out into the world, and they're going to remember what you told them for some of the stuff. They're going to remember what you told them.
Some of the stuff, or they come back and go, you told me this, that really wasn't true. I'm like, well,
you're like, it was true at the time.
Kind of, it was,
Let's pull the truth
really was
from that.
I know.
What would you say, Julie, to the women who want to be home with their kids, who are maybe in corporate right now, and are like, this is too much to be away, or and this is a whole other episode too. The cost of childcare is so insane that oftentimes it's not even worth it. Like they're losing most of their paycheck just sending their kid to childcare. But maybe a mom that's like, I want to shift. I want to do something else, and I want to contribute financially to the family, and feel fulfilled, and be with my kids at home.
Yeah. Well, when I first, between my first and second child, 2 that I had, after I had my daughter, my girlfriend at the time had her son 2 weeks after mine. So we were having fun. Like we were going to the mall and doing play dates and hung out. The husbands were traveling, and we sleep together, like in her bed, in the king bed, with the bassinets on each side, nursed them. We did all that stuff together. Yeah. And then there was a time where we were very blessed to have each other for that time. And so at one point when they got a little bit older, I think they were like, no, I don't remember, a year old, whatever. we both said, why don't we find jobs? I got approached from my former boss was going to help he was doing some consulting with a startup way back then. And he said, hey, would you ever want to do like some telemarketing, like making some sales calls, like, no pressure, $5 an hour, just to get some extra money. That was way back then. And, 4 hours, you can make your own hours, whatever. And she went and worked for her girlfriend's hair salon as a receptionist. We're like, she was a paralegal and I was a major account district manager in sales in the sales department. And so we were like, wow, these are like great jobs that we can just get money so we can take them to the mall and have our own money again,
Yeah.
And so we did that. But it was very interesting. Like within 3 months, I was like the sales manager and they're having me hire a team and the whole thing. And I'm like, whoa. I was making really good money. How much should we pay you? It was just like, whoa, I'm getting back into the workforce here. And like, I didn't want to do that, Yeah. And so I ended up getting pregnant and she ended up getting pregnant again. So we said, we're not going to watch 2 sets of twins. So we worked up until we had our second children. And I worked from 8 to 12 and she watched both of them. And then she worked from 1 to 5 and I watched both of them. Wow. And so we did that for like a year and a half. And so if you could find somebody that you can swap babysitting, even if it's like, I told my one girlfriend yesterday, I'm like, can you get somebody to come in, just 3 hours a week, just start with that. And while that person is watching your child and entertaining them, you need to be disciplined as to what you're going to have to get done to justify those 3 hours, and just start with that instead of like, oh, I got to get full-time daycare in order for me to be successful with this.
No, and it's amazing how fast you can get stuff done in 3 hours without worrying about
interruptions
and interruptions. We think that that's not very much time, and it's a significant amount of time because we're used to multitasking and doing it all on very little sleep. And so you'll find that like, oh my gosh, I get to mentally, you're not ever entirely mentally there. No, you're always tethered. Yes. But it can be pretty cool, that concentrated amount of time. And baby swapping was a lifesaver for my friend and I. We were both in the entertainment industry. I was acting and she was a wardrobe stylist, and we'd swap all the time. Our babies were 5 days apart, and it benefits them. They get a little buddy to grow up with. You know what I mean? And I think it benefited them socially as they grew up and got into preschool and added some. We ended up having our seconds like together around the same time, which is so funny that our stories like that with our friends. Like so we had our girls and then we had our boys like 5 days apart. And then people love to be like, oh, you guys planned that. I'm like, oh yeah, we called it. Like, you're having sex tonight.
Hurry up. I know.
This again. No, we didn't plan it. And then when she was pregnant with her third, like way before I was even pregnant with my third, everyone's like, oh, so you pregnant too? And I'm like, no, I'm actually in really good shape. Like, I'm offended.
I know.
Working really hard.
That's not a baby bump, okay?
Right. But it's like we both reflect now that our, those 2 babies are teenagers, and it's like, man, that was a lifesaver. And if we didn't get out into the community and like find each other, like we found each other at church, and then we also joined a Mom and Me fitness class,
thing,
right? And we recommended swapping within, people, connecting them to each other. Like, you guys should swap. Your kids get along great, and they would start swapping, and it becomes this lifesaver for women, whether you're working or not. Like, you just need to, you need a little bit of reprieve, or get stuff done without a baby attached to your hips.
There's all types of resources, especially now where everything is online and Facebook groups and all that, and community next door, align, all those things. You can find people are always looking for support.
Right. And I find that now more than ever, being in such a digital world, these online event spaces, free things. I did an event on Tuesday where it was a movie screening, and it was like 100 women replied. I'm like, I only have like 35 tickets. Like, I'm so sorry. And it was like in one Facebook group that was the
Wow.
city in which the movie was being premiered at. And I was
Mhm.
like, they are, and then all the messages come pouring in afterwards. Like, I needed that so much. I haven't been out of the house. And like, and then
Oh,
my kid got
nice.
sick, but I felt like I could deal with it because I got a little girls' mom's night out.
Oh, great.
And it was just
Yeah.
like, I know it's needed, but it was like, these in-person connections are not just needed, they're necessary, I think, for well-being.
Sure.
Man, so awesome.
Yes.
Julie, I love your face. I love you so much.
Thank you.
I think it's really important to have mothers on from all realms talking about all the things and the struggles and the challenges, and also to see like where they end up, like with adult children, and how, you know, being an entrepreneur in the mix of it now, with husbands being like, you should shut the computer when it's like 8 p.m. I'm like, yeah, I think I should. You know what I mean? Not stop shooting on yourself. It's nice to be able to look to examples like you, who are like, and then your kids are now entrepreneurs, and they're looking back and being like, my mom was freaking awesome. Like, I didn't know how awesome until they kind of come into their own, right? And it's really, I think, special to see. And yes, they're always going to have their stuff, and we'll always have our stuff, and they'll end up in therapy because of us for some reason. Because that's
you can't get away with it. Yeah.
Whatever. I'm sure I'm screwing them with some aspect, but it's nice to get a reminder that although my kids are little now and it might feel a little chaotic, that I'd rather them see me doing this and see me kind of navigate the chaos, knowing that I'm doing it for them, but also for me. Right.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
for other women, and for them to watch that and see things being birthed and shifting, and mom's writing a book or doing this or that, or they're like, you have a podcast? I'm like, yeah, I've had a podcast for a year, and no idea. And I think we also get to share with them. It's reminded me that, like, as you were hiring them in a sense to stamp your things, like we can also involve them in the process. So
sure.
I mean, heck, you can technically hire your kids now, and it's a huge like, tax write-off, right?
It is,
in your ads and your photos, and that could be like their modeling, whatever. And I've been having my kids like edit videos and stuff for me because they know tech. Like, it's insane how well they know tech. They can edit videos and put things together like way faster than I can. And so find ways to incorporate your kids in your business, because you're teaching them skills. You're teaching them skills that I think are necessary, whether they go into business for themselves or not. Right.
Yeah. I love it.
That's really important. We can, it has nothing to do with child labor laws. It's about involving them in a way that is strategic and smart and gets their little wheels turning, you know what I mean? Which is really cool. All right. Anyway, I'm way over time, like I always am. Welcome, everybody.
I know we get all involved with, we can spend all day talking, and people are like, well, we don't want to listen to you.
And we have. Julie does these wonderful retreats if you're ever interested and live in some kind, or live anywhere, really. Or people that fly in for them.
Yes.
Julie, go ahead and tell them where they can find you. I think it's juliecoaching.com, but I don't want to screw it up. So like tell them the spaces they can find you.
Yeah, that's so easy, right? JulieKCoaching.com. And I have a new assessment that I would love anybody to take to find out like where they are, in moving forward with, something they've been wanting to do, something they're in the middle of doing and haven't completed. And it's just JulieKCoaching.com/assessment. Cool. And you can find me everywhere, Instagram, Julie Kraschinsky, everywhere. There's another one in the world. My ex-sister-in-law's name is Julie Kraschinsky, but she's not in business. So you can find me.
Your sister-in-law has the same name. That's so great.
Yeah, my ex-sister.
So not that Julie, this Julie.
No.
And it'll all be in the show notes. There'll be clickable links where you can go and follow her and go ahead and take her assessment. That reminds me, you sent me the assessment.
Try it out. I love to get your feedback. Yeah. So,
and Julie's here for you. Julie's got you, mama. She's got you in life. She's got you in business. Feel free to reach out to her. She does these amazing free like one-on-one calls that are like no pressure. Like you actually can't even sign up for any of the things she offers on your call, which is just so cool. because there's no pressure. You just get to connect and learn from her and learn from yourself in these calls. And they're really special. So reach out to her. And if this episode resonates with you, or you feel like this could really help someone else out in their life, please forward it on, like and subscribe. And we got you, Mama. Julie's got you. We will see you next time.
Bye-bye. Thanks.